Hello students, so today I'll be explaining the practical program number one, which I gave yesterday. So it seems that most of you have skipped out on certain part. uh, so I'll show you where you have made that error. Okay, it's not exactly an error, but as per the program it is not the desired output. All right. So yes, I made a mistake in the designation. Okay, it should not be integer, but this should be characters. Okay, so I've given the size as 15. So the designation cannot be an integer value. All right. So you can observe this mistake. Okay, and later on you can make changes in your practical book also. So um, as per that, this is the format, so you have to, so I can show you. So here the program to input and display details of the base class BEMB and derived class D underscore EMB. So this is the base class and this is the derived class name. So this is the parent class and this is the child class. Alright, so you have to input and display the details of both of these class. So what you have to do is that you have to declare an object. The name of the object is EMB, that belongs to the derived class. So and then it will invoke the input salary and print salary. Alright, so this belongs to the derived class, the input salary and print salary. So now um, as you can see here, the header file iostream, okay, and then the header file, instead of stdio.h, here it is cstdio. Okay, now uh, for most of the programs dev c++ is suitable, okay, because in dev c++ program runs faster, errors are shown faster. Okay, but especially when you are using these device input output character functions, or this string manipulation of string functions, okay, that is related with the studio file or standard input file, header file, or this string file. Okay, most of these functions or keywords does not work in C++. All right, that not only that, in the later part, C++ has discontinued the use of certain functions or certain keywords. Right, so it works in this turbo C++. So that is it works in turbo C++. Okay, so your textbook is configured to be used according to turbo C++. Okay, so that's why you will observe that CLR SCR does not work in dev C++. Okay, but it works in turbo C++. Also the this get s function, boot s function, get char, put char, get dot line, okay, get ch, all of these things, it won't work in dev C++. Not only that, in most of the C++ console editors it won't work, because most of this has been discontinued. So an alternate option has been created for that. So you can use turbo C++ if you want to correctly run the programs. Right, so here I'll show you an alternate option on that. So based on this, as per the format, you have to define a class, that is PAMB, with this following specification: private data members, that is e-code, e-name, and e-designation. So integer, so this is an array of character array or string variable of size 20, and this also string variable of size 15. And these are the public member functions: input data and display data. So function to accept in e-code, e-name, e-designation, okay, and to display e-code, e-name, and e-designation. So very simple, right? So that means that it will accept values and this will display values. So this functions does not return any uh, value to the main, right? So it will simply enter and it will simply display. So that's why the return type will be void. Okay, so now if you see here, the class P, which is the base class or parent class, so under the private access modifier you have int e-code, character e-name, character E designation, okay. And then under public member function, even if you don't use these, by default these member functions will be, or members will be, data members will be private. So here void input data, void display data. So this is declaration, right? So uh, so now here again another class DEMB, which has public access to the superclass uh, BEMB, right? So that means the this derived class, okay, inherits the members of the public members of the superclass or the base class, right? And it has its own data members which are private, that is salary, gross, HRA, that is house rent allowance, and dearness allowance. So the data type is double, double, float, float, right? But based on this, you can see that the outcome of the data type is double, right? So based on that, we change the we write down the member functions return type also based on this salary and gross. So these are the public member functions, okay. So if you see there, the uh, this class D, this is the derived class, so it is publicly inheriting from the base class. So we use the colon, and here we write public, right? So here when we write public, it means that it can access any of the members. If suppose this is public, then it can access the public data members also, all right. But here it can access only these two member functions. So derived class inherits public members of base class. So these are the private data members, all right. So these private data members is used only by this class, and this private data members is used only by this, is accessible only within this class DEMB. So the public member functions, as you can see here, the first one is input salary. So this will invoke the private member function, that is input data, and then it will enter the salary, and then after that it will call three functions, that is DA, HRA, gross, and then it will return the value, okay. So similarly, you have calculate DA, that is to calculate this formula and then return back, then HRA, and then it will calculate this and then return the value to the input salary function, right? Because you can see that it calls three functions, right? That means these three functions are returning value back to the this function. So that's why the return value is double, okay. So here the return type is double because of that. As in this case, you are just inputting the value and you are just displaying, so print salary, okay. So now if you see if you see here, as per the question, right, input data, what here function to enter or accept e code, e name, e designation. So you can see here cout enter code. So since code is an integer value, so you are using the C input stream to enter the code, and then cout enter name, okay. Now here most of you have made the mistake. Here you have used cin, right? Now I have already told you that if you use cin, yes, you can accept character values, or you can even accept string values, provided it is only the string is only one word, suppose like John, right? But now the e name, it has not been specified whether it is a first name or last name. It might be a combination of both first name and last name also, right? So if there's a first name and a last name, obviously the name will have spaces in between, right? So it might be like John, okay, Smith. So you can see that there is a space in between, right? Now if you use here the C input stream, then it cannot accept this blank space in between these two names, all right. So for that you use the gets function, okay. You use this get s function, but you observe that when you use this get s function in dev C++, then you get an error, right? So for that, what you do is that you change this to CS Studio, okay. And then but another thing, there is an error which is unavoidable, okay, which when you run it you will see, okay. So here get s, okay, within the parentheses e name, and then same for e designation, get s e designation. So that is the changes that you have to do, all right. Now, under normal circumstances, when you are using the Turbo C++, when you use this getters function, what it does is it accepts a string of characters, okay, and until a new line is encountered. So that is this, right? So when you're using Turbo C++, it will run normally. You'll get the correct output, all right? Except that in Dev C++, there is a flaw on that. Now, similarly to display data, so here you use the scope resolution operator, right? Because now this is the function definition, and this is the function definition. So the function body is written here, right? So in order to access the member functions, that is this, right, you use the scope resolution operator to declare the function body. And this scope resolution operator also tells that this member function, that is this public member function display data and input data, belongs to the belongs to the base class EMB. Alright, so this function does not return any value, because you can see that you're simply entering the value and you're simply displaying. You are not returning any value back to the main function or to the or there's no calling function, right? So that's why here the return type is void. Okay, similarly here you can see that this is for the derived class. This is the member function input salary. Now as per this the condition, invoke private input data, right? After that you enter the salary, you call three functions and return the value to the uh, to this to the calling function, right? So here you can see that in this input salary, you're invoking the private member function input data, because the public member function, sorry, so input data, right? Because you using this input data only, okay, this class cannot directly access these private data members, that is the data values that are stored in here, right? Because where are the data stored? In this private data members, right? And as for this also, the data are stored in these variables, right? So to access the data that are stored in these variables or these data members, you have to use these public member functions. So that's why this member function is invoked here, is called here. So what it does is it is called here, and then it reads the data from the function body, right? So the data that is in here, okay. So now see out, enter the salary. So you are able to enter the so you enter the salary, then calculate, so DA, so invoking and then returning the value back, right? Returning the value to input salary. So for that, three variables are assigned: DA, HRA, gross, right? Now after that, to calculate, so here when this calling function is encountered, okay, so this will call this function body, all right? So as you know that this belongs to the derived class DEMB, and it returns a value, right? So here, that is this calculate DA, calculate the formula and then return the value to input salary. So now this formula will be calculated, and then it will be returned directly back to the calling function. So whatever value you get, it will be replaced by with this calling function, and it will be stored in this variable. Similarly, HRA and gross will be calculated same way and then return back here. Now under the print salary, okay, you can see here invoke the display data function, okay. So this is not private, okay, this is not private, but I think this is, yeah, public. So and this is also public. So that will be called here, okay, and then whatever data was to be printed, okay. So this is invoked. So what will happen is that this function, oh, where is that? Oh yes, here, display data will be called, and then it will execute and display this value, right? So e code, e name, and e designation. So same way in this input salary, when this input data gets invoked, okay, this is the calling function. So it goes here, okay, it executes this, and then it comes back, returns back to this calling function. Okay, then after that it will execute the next line statements. Similarly here, after the display data is called and that function body gets executed, okay, or printed out, then it comes back to here and then displays salary, DA, HRA, and gross. All right, so now all of these things will all of these things are written after the main function, right? But you know that the program execution will start from the main function. So in the main function, as it is written, declare an object EMB of derived class EMB that will invoke input salary and print salary. So here you can see that EMB, which is the object, which is actually a variable, right? So using this object you can access the data members, so that the data members you can store the values, right? So the compiler will allocate memory. So here you are declaring an object of type DEMB. Okay, so keep in mind that class is also a user defined data type, right? So here this, which is similar to this is similar to suppose character EMB, right? But in this case this variable is of type DEMB. So using the object, you what you're doing is that you are accessing or calling the input salary function that is belongs to this class DEMB. All right, so and then after that employee details are, it will again it will invoke this print salary function, okay, and then finally you'll get all the outputs. Okay, so now I'll show you the how it is. So you compile it and you run it. Okay, now here is the problem. Okay, now if suppose you enter the employee code, say like 1 2 3, okay, and now you press enter, so you can see that here ender name and ender designation is gets at the same time. It bypasses the ender name so that you're not able to enter the e name. So here you are only able to enter the designation, suppose manager, and suppose salary. So here, so now you get the complete details, but here you can see that e name is skipped. Okay, so that is the problem with dev C++. All right, in turbo C++ it will work correctly. So those who have turbo C++, you use this, okay, it won't show the errors. So now in for those of you who are using dev C++, okay, or those of you who are using the mobile phone, okay, this is what you must do. Yes, I'll show it to you. So as soon as you enter the employee code, okay, don't press enter. Clear? Don't press enter, and what you do is that, let's say that you press you type here John. Okay, after that you in here you type the designation, and then you enter the salary. So here you can see that e name is John, right? But now John is just the first name, right? We need the last name also, because if it is if you're just typing the first name John, then you might as well, for e name you might as well use C input stream, right? But then the difference of C of using get s and C input stream is, it in terms of get s function, it can accept blank spaces also. So here you'll see that employee code, okay, and then here I write John Smith, okay, and now for the designation I write manager, okay, and then here salary I write here. So now you can see that e name has John space Smith. Okay, now if you try if you try it with the C input stream, this will be an error. Okay, so I hope that you have understood the difference between using the C input stream and using the gets, and the different compile editors, okay, that is console editors, that is dev C++ and turbo C++. Okay, but as it is in your textbook, okay, how the program is written, so that way you have to write down in the final exam also. All right.